I wanted to create a space for people who are high performing, capable, people whose lives function, even if sometimes maybe it just feels like just barely. But this podcast is for people who know that functioning isn't the same as being fulfilled. They can feel something more is possible. Hi, I'm Meredith Christo, and I'm glad you're here. We all have moments that divide our lives into before and after, moments that draw a line in the sand where you know that whatever comes next, it will never be the same. One of those moments for me was 2 years ago. I walked away from a career that I had spent over 25 years building at a Fortune 20 company and had no other job lined up. And I didn't leave because I stopped loving the work. For most of those 25 years, I loved my job. But the culture had changed, and the toxic environment and stress were costing me my physical and mental health, and I knew that it was time to leave. What I've learned since walking out the door, since stepping beyond that line in the sand, has reshaped how I think about success and failure. It's changed how I understand identity, and it has clarified something essential that we don't have to be spectators in our lives because we are the authors of our lives. And this podcast exists because of those lessons. I wanted to create a space for people who are high performing, capable, people whose lives function, even if sometimes maybe it just feels like just barely. But this podcast is for people who know that functioning isn't the same as being fulfilled. They can feel something more is possible. I think we've all at some point have probably imagined this big dramatic scene of quitting a job, finally saying the things you've rehearsed in your head for years during meetings and storming out, maybe papers flying behind you. But that's not how it happened for me. There was no speech, there was no door slam. It was just a moment of clarity that felt like a big exhale, like the kind that comes when your body and your nervous system and your intuition all align at once. And I thought about something that Oprah Winfrey said, and I'd heard her say it before many times because I would play it over and over again in my car. But in this moment, I really felt it in my soul. What Oprah said is, it's a big, hard world out there, but you're ready for it. And you're ready because there is nothing more powerful than you using your personality to serve the calling of your soul. Walking out of the building that day, I understood what she meant. And I realized that this wasn't leaving, it was arriving. I was arriving into alignment with my next chapter, one that asked me to move forward as myself, fully and unapologetically. But I also want to be very clear that while walking out of the door that day was one of the easiest things I've ever done, what came next, the transition from who I had been to who I was becoming, has not been easy. It's required patience, trust, and most of all, a willingness to sit in uncertainty and resist doing something or going back to something just to be comfortable. While I'm an authority in the fitness industry, this is not a fitness podcast. It is not about fitness hacks or fads. It is definitely not about pushing harder or how to be more disciplined. I've found most high-performing people don't need more discipline. They know how to get things done. But I am going to talk about training, nutrition, recovery, stress, and how we incorporate these things into our lives because our health is foundational to our lives and to our success. But at the core, this podcast is about identity, how we make decisions, and the process of designing the life that you want. There's this important space between who you've been and who you're becoming. And we're going to spend time talking about that space and how to move through it. I turned 50 the same year I walked away from my career. And a lot of people think 50 is the beginning of the end. It's just a slow decline from there. But for me, that 50-year milestone isn't about fighting age. It's a time to design the next chapter. So we're going to talk about what it means to age intentionally, not fearfully, not passively, definitely not wishing for the past, but with forward thinking and knowing that we're building out our best years. Some episodes will be solo reflections like this one. Some will be conversations with people who are living proof that personal growth, strength, vitality, that these things don't have an expiration date. And some episodes will challenge the dominant narratives we've been sold about aging, productivity, success. So it's really about alignment. It's about authorship and about redefining what that next season can look like. So if this resonates with you, stay with me. We are just getting started. We're going to keep building from here. I'll see you in the next episode.